Nigeria's political space just felt a sudden shock. Not a small move. A serious one. 9 senators have now moved to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. And this single move is already shaking the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Inside the National Assembly, tension is rising fast. Because when senators begin to move like this, it is not just politics. It is a signal. A signal that something bigger may be forming ahead of the next elections. And many people believe this is exactly what is happening now. The ADC is no longer looking like a small party on the side. It is starting to look like a gathering point. A meeting ground for powerful politicians who want a new direction. Names that carry weight are already there. One of them is Peter Obi. Another is Atiku Abubakar. 2 of the biggest political figures in Nigeria today. When politicians like this begin to gather under the same political roof, people start asking serious questions. What exactly is being built? Is this the start of a new political force? Or something even bigger? For the APC leadership, this development is already causing concern. Because 9 senators moving in one direction is not just coincidence. It means something is changing. And in Nigerian politics, changes like this rarely happen without deeper reasons behind them. Political defections are not new in the country. They have happened many times before. But what makes this moment different is the timing and the people involved. Nigeria is slowly moving toward another major election cycle. And at times like this, every political movement becomes important. Every alliance matters. Every decision carries weight. When lawmakers begin to change parties at this stage, political leaders immediately begin to ask what it means for the balance of power. The Senate is one of the most important institutions in the country's political structure. The strength of a party inside the Senate often determines how easily laws are passed and how strong a government can operate. So when senators begin to move from one political platform to another, it naturally raises alarm inside party leadership. For the All Progressives Congress, the situation is being watched very carefully. The ruling party has spent years building its influence across the National Assembly. Maintaining that influence is critical to its political stability. Any sign that lawmakers may be shifting away from the party immediately becomes a matter of serious concern. This is why the movement of 9 senators toward the African Democratic Congress is already attracting national attention. Because political momentum can change quickly. At first, it may look like only a few individuals making personal decisions. But in politics, numbers can grow faster than expected. One move can trigger another. And sometimes a single political shift can encourage others who may already be thinking about leaving their parties. This is one reason the current development is receiving so much discussion in political circles. The presence of leaders like Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar around the ADC conversation is also increasing the attention. Both figures have strong national recognition and loyal political supporters. Their involvement naturally raises the profile of the party. For many observers, this creates a new political dynamic. Because if more influential politicians begin to gather under the same platform, the structure of future elections could begin to look very different. Right now, the situation is still developing. But one thing is already clear. Nigeria's political environment is entering a period of serious movement. And the decisions being made today by senators and political leaders could shape the direction of the country's political competition in the coming years. Soon after the news of the defection spread, another moment caught everyone's attention. Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe submitted a letter. The letter was simple. He wanted the Senate to formally recognize that he had moved from All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Normally, these letters are read during Senate proceedings. It is part of the process. When a senator decides to change political parties, the Senate President reads the letter during plenary. The announcement then becomes part of the official record of the National Assembly. It is a routine process that has happened many times over the years. But this time, things did not go as expected. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, refused to read the letter. And immediately, the political temperature in the chamber changed. Some senators were surprised. Others watched quietly. Because rejecting such a letter sends a message. A political message. In Nigeria's parliamentary practice, the reading of a defection letter is not just a formality. It signals that the Senate leadership has acknowledged the change of party by a lawmaker. When that step does not happen, it raises questions about what is happening behind the scenes. Observers say the refusal to read the letter reflects how sensitive the current political environment has become. The Senate is not only a legislative body. It is also a strong political arena where party influence matters greatly. Every seat counts. Every shift in loyalty can affect political calculations. If the defection of Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe is formally acknowledged, it strengthens the growing presence of the African Democratic Congress within the political conversation. And that is exactly the development many within the ruling All Progressives Congress are watching closely. The concern is not just about one senator. It is about what the move could represent. Political analysts say defections often begin quietly before they grow into larger political waves. One senator moves. Then another. Soon the conversation shifts from individual decisions to a broader political movement. This is why the current situation inside the Senate is drawing attention from political observers across the country. The National Assembly has always been a place where political alliances can change quickly. Lawmakers often reassess their political positions based on future elections, party stability, and the direction of national politics. As a result, defections are sometimes seen as early signs of shifting political strategy. The leadership of the Senate, however, must also consider the stability of the institution. Party balance inside the chamber can influence committee leadership, legislative priorities, and the speed at which government policies move through Parliament. For a ruling party, maintaining strong control of the Senate is extremely important. It ensures smoother passage of bills and greater coordination with the executive branch of government. This explains why developments like the attempted defection of Enyinnaya Abaribe immediately attract political attention. The refusal by Godswill Akpabio to read the letter has therefore sparked conversations in political circles about what may happen next. Some analysts believe the decision could slow down the formal recognition of new defections. Others believe it is a sign that Senate leadership wants to carefully manage the situation before allowing any public confirmation of further party changes. At the same time, there are increasing discussions about possible reforms to Nigeria's political defection rules. The country's constitution allows lawmakers to change parties under certain conditions, especially when there are internal divisions within their original parties. However, critics argue that the current system has made it too easy for politicians to move between parties without clear consequences. As a result, some leaders within the All Progressives Congress are reportedly considering ways to tighten political defection rules. Such measures could include stronger legal interpretations or legislative adjustments aimed at limiting how easily elected officials switch party platforms. Supporters of stricter rules say this would help protect party discipline and strengthen political institutions. Opponents, however, argue that lawmakers should maintain the freedom to align with political platforms that reflect their views and interests. This debate is now gaining attention as the situation inside the Senate continues to develop. What started as a simple letter from Enyinnaya Abaribe has now opened a wider political discussion. A discussion about party loyalty, about political strategy, and about how Nigeria's political system should handle defections in the future. For now, the immediate issue remains unresolved. The letter has not been formally read in the Senate chamber, but the conversation it triggered is already spreading across Nigeria's political landscape. Because in politics, moments like this often signal deeper shifts that may not yet be fully visible. Nigeria's political landscape is now entering a new phase of uncertainty. What began as a few quiet political moves is gradually turning into a national discussion about power, alliances, and the future direction of the country's major parties. At the center of this discussion is the growing attention around the African Democratic Congress, ADC. For many years, the party operated largely outside the main battle between Nigeria's dominant political forces. But recent developments are starting to change that perception. The arrival of 9 senators connected to the party's political space has increased its visibility inside national politics. In a system where numbers inside the National Assembly matter greatly, even a small shift can alter the political conversation. Lawmakers understand that political strength is not only measured during elections. It is also measured inside institutions like the Senate and the House of Representatives. Every senator represents influence. Every senator carries a political network. And when those networks begin to move toward a particular political platform, it naturally attracts national attention. The conversation around the African Democratic Congress has also been strengthened by the presence of well-known political figures who are now associated with the party's broader political space. Among them are Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. Both men remain major voices in Nigeria's political environment. They command strong followings across different regions of the country and continue to influence national political debates. Their involvement in discussions around the ADC has naturally increased the attention surrounding the party. Political observers say when respected national figures begin to gather around the same platform, it often signals the possibility of wider political cooperation. Nigeria has seen similar moments before. At different points in the country's democratic history, alliances between political figures have reshaped the balance of power. Parties have merged. Coalitions have formed. And political movements have emerged when influential leaders decided to work together under a common structure. Because of this history, many analysts are now watching the ADC conversation closely. The key question being asked is simple. Is this the early stage of a broader political alignment? Or is it only a temporary gathering of individuals exploring new options ahead of future elections? For the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, the situation is being monitored carefully. The party currently holds significant political influence across the federal government and within the National Assembly. Maintaining that influence is critical for its long-term political stability. Any sign that lawmakers or major political figures may be shifting their support toward another platform naturally raises concern within party leadership. This explains why discussions about tightening rules on political defections are beginning to surface. Party strategists understand that controlling internal stability is a key part of maintaining political strength. If defections increase, it could encourage more politicians to reconsider their positions. And in politics, momentum can build faster than expected. Once political leaders begin to believe that a new platform is gaining strength, movements toward that platform can accelerate quickly. That possibility is what many within the ruling party want to prevent. At the same time, political competition is also a normal part of any democratic system. Opposition parties constantly look for ways to reorganize, strengthen their networks, and present alternative leadership to voters. The growing attention around the African Democratic Congress therefore reflects the natural evolution of political competition in Nigeria. Different leaders are exploring new alliances. Different parties are evaluating their strategies. And political actors across the country are preparing for the next major electoral cycle. For citizens and observers, the situation represents a moment of political transition. The choices being made now by senators, party leaders, and national figures may shape the structure of Nigeria's political competition in the years ahead. What remains uncertain is how far these current developments will go. More defections could happen. New alliances could form. Or the political landscape could settle back into its familiar patterns. At this stage, the direction is still unfolding. But one point is becoming increasingly clear. Nigeria's political arena is once again entering a period of realignment. The movement of lawmakers, the reactions of party leadership, and the involvement of national political figures are all part of a broader process that is still taking shape. In the coming months, further decisions inside the Senate and within party structures will likely reveal whether the current moment represents a temporary shift or the early signs of a much larger political transformation. Until then, the country's major political actors will continue to watch each other carefully, knowing that even small moves today could influence the balance of power tomorrow.